Evening on NBC Sports. It's an intriguing group with plenty of storylines to cover. We'll welcome three past champions to the stage today and one who carries a lot of momentum into Miami trying to win his first ever title. It's an impressive group, and when you look at it from the stats, they are literally 1 through 4 in all the key categories, wins, top 5s, and top 10s as well. Before we hear from the championship contenders, I'd like to welcome the fans listening on SiriusXM NASCAR Radio or on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. We appreciate your passion, and we hope you enjoy today's press conference. And to my fellow media members, on behalf of NASCAR, thank you for your coverage today and all efforts all season long. And with that, let's bring out the 4 championship contenders who will vie for the place in the NASCAR history book on Sunday. First up, the regular season champion who finished runner-up at ISM Raceway this past Sunday and clinched his championship 4 spot for the 5th consecutive year, the 2015 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion and driver of the number 18 M&M's Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Kyle Busch.
Here comes the Candyman, the winningest driver of this decade.
Kyle Busch, everyone. Our popular topic with our next driver coming into the year was exactly how many home racetracks does he have and when would he win a short track race? Well, he certainly answered the call on that. He swept Richmond and, more importantly, got the win at Martinsville, which locked him into the championship for the 2017 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion and driver of the Bass Pro Shops Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Martin Truex Jr.
Truex Jr. wins in Vegas. Back-to-back wins for Martin Truex Jr. He will have a championship 4 spot. Oh yeah! Woo! Look at me, man!
In 2019, he won his 2nd career race at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway and now looks to win his 2nd career championship. The 2014 NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series champion and driver of the number 4 Busch Light Ford for Stewart-Haas Racing, Kevin Harvick.
Going to Homestead, baby. Yeah, boy! Way to go! Awesome job! What a race car!
And finally, he opened the season with a win at the Daytona 500 and hopes to close it with his first ever Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series championship. The driver of the number 11 FedEx Express Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, Denny Hamlin.
You talk about championship leaders. Denny Hamlin has to be at the top of the list. The big stage to make it to the championship 4.
This time get you pumped up, you ain't breathing. Fight your ass off, we'll fight for you. Hell yeah, guys, we're going to Homestead. Where do you want to go in next?
I can't believe it. Just this race team worked so hard. And I told them today in the meeting, I just said, I'm going to give everything I've got.
2019 Championship 4 that will battle it out for the title on Sunday. Congratulations to you all. Hey, it's been a fun week. Let's start with New York. And whose idea was it to make Kyle run what was supposed to be 5 miles? That's your fault, Denny, or how did all that come about?
Just trying to hamper my competition. Getting some shin splints, perhaps a little sore throat.
Did it work?
Nah.
You came up with a new word, wamboozled. Is that a Nate Ryan approved word?
I've used it for a really long time.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know where I got it from though.
Okay. What was the final payout to Kyle?
It's about $1,000.
Whoa, that's pretty good. You already start the
Still
weekend.
coming in, right?
Yeah, it's still coming in.
Still coming in.
Yeah, we got someone who's slow pay over here.
Yeah, exactly.
On a payment plan.
Take Apple's pay.
Kevin, does that mean you guys are all buddies now, heading into Sunday?
Look, we had fun. You know, I think all of us have done this long enough to know that we all want to win for our own race teams and do the things that it takes. But you know, I think there's a lot of mutual respect for the guys that are sitting up here, and if you're going to go up there and work, you might as well have fun. So I think that's what everybody tried to do.
Well, you guys certainly look like you had a lot of fun. So with that, we'll open up the questions. As usual, raise your hands. We'll get a microphone to you, give us your name and affiliation, and we'll get the questions going for Championship 4 Media Day here in Miami. Start up front with Alan Cavana.
A couple questions. Alan Cavana, Fox Sports. Kyle, we saw you guys all having fun up in New York. When does that switch flip, though? When do you get competitive with each other?
I mean, I don't think it's competitive with each other necessarily. I think it's just the competitive nature is obviously going to start when you get to the racetrack, when you get ready to suit up and get going for your first practice. That's going to be your competitive nature. But then, people want to say the race starts off the truck, and in reality, I guess it kind of did. Last year, Logano was fast off the truck and kicked our ass all weekend long. So, it's a matter of being good and being prepared, and the team doing a really good job with the car and getting ready to rock and roll when you get to practice.
And one for Denny. Again, we saw you guys all having fun, but has any of your competitors brought up that you haven't won a title yet, and does any trash talking work with you?
No, they haven't. I think that we're all aware that I have not. I think it's been well documented at this point, so no.
Trash talk work?
No, I don't think so. This is the old guys rule group up here. Yeah, this is the big three with the new one. Just like last year, and we got our ass spanked by the new one. So, I mean, if Kyle wasn't here, the average age might be 40, somewhere in there. Yeah. You're welcome.
Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kicking the tires side. Matt, Denny, for you, aside from the fact you haven't won the championship, but more importantly, you're going up against two guys who are already in your organization. You know exactly what they have. Does that make it better for you as far as more I guess, personally, to know that if you beat them, you're going to beat the guys that have the best at your organization?
Well, beyond that, I look at the last, I think this format's been played 5 years, and you look at how many times these three have made it to the Final Four under different rules packages, different cars, different everything. They've been the standard year in, year out. You see one or two guys poke in that Final Four here and there, but I think it would be most gratifying if we did win, because this is the best. This is by far the best in any category that you can try to put together. So certainly would mean more because of that reason.
Let's go to Jordan Bianchi.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This is for the 3 JGR drivers. Has it been decided how you guys are going to operate this weekend? Is it going to continue to have meetings and kind of an open notebook, or are you guys going to shut that off?
As far as I know, nothing's really been discussed, so I would imagine it's business as usual. We do what got us here, and Sunday morning when we all get up to go race, we go race. Which, I mean, if you look at this season, I think we've all raced each other really hard at times, but fair, with respect, and I feel like it's not going to be any different this weekend.
I agree.
Jenna Fryer.
All the way in the back seats, the cheap seats. The way this race has played out with a late caution so many years in a row and a final shootout, does that have you guys concerned? How do you plan for that? And are you worried that the best guy doesn't win in that scenario?
Well, you have to put the whole race together, and I think when you look at the race is different at the end of the race anyway. When it gets to be night, you typically have the late caution. I think that you definitely have to think about what you want your car to do and when you want it to do what you want it to do. And there's already a ton of unknowns going into this weekend with the new aero package. What do you bring? How much downforce? How much drag? All those things that go with that, and some of that plays into late restarts and what you want there. So, there's still a lot of guesswork that's gone into what we think we probably all need with our cars, and that conversation is definitely part of the conversation of what you need for the weekend.
Mark Arrow.
Mark Arrow, PRN. Following up on Martin's response a moment ago about keeping everything the same this week, how hard is it for you as the three Joe Gibbs drivers not to let the competitive spirit and the want to win to sort of want to keep secrets or keep something to yourselves? How hard is it to keep the open book throughout the week and weekend, given the circumstance?
Yeah, I think for us, you'd have to talk to the crews about that, crew chiefs and engineers, and I think for us, we talk about, what we're doing, what our cars are doing, all that stuff in the meetings. It would be up to the crews and the crew chiefs to whether or not they push all those keys on the keyboard and put it in there, you know what I mean? So, honestly, it's really kind of hard for us to have secrets, but there's no telling what teams could do.
Jeff Clark.
Jeff Gluck from The Athletic. Obviously, you guys have spoken about the respect level between all four of you. Is that primarily from what you guys have accomplished on the track over the years, or how you race each other, or how you deal with each other? Like, why is that among you guys, I guess?
Well, for me, I think it's important as you go through. As I've gone through my career, to be respected by your competitors. I don't think it's always been that way for me. And, I think, for me, as I have a 7-year-old at home that wants to say, why do you speak to the guy that way, or why do you do this, or why do you do that? I think it's important to, show him that you can be competitive, you can do the right things for your team, but also be respected by your competitors. And I feel like, that average age probably has a little something to do with that. And I think as you're younger, you get in a situation, you feel like you have to say something, you feel like you have to do something, you feel like, you have to make it more than it needs to be, and that's not the best spot for your team to be in. So that's really, for me, how it's migrated to this point.
Greg Engel.
Greg Engel, Auto Week. Denny, I got to know the run through New York. Was he able to provide definitive proof? And Kyle, who was your camera person chasing you?
Poor guy.
Yeah, it was documented. We had plenty of videos documenting it. It was a guy that works with Pro Sport Management that represents me that followed him. And, although Kyle's run was impressive, would have been more impressive if he would have had boots on and carrying a camera like the other guy.
But he took his shoes. Yeah. He took the poor guy's shoes. Yeah. That's what Kyle did. He borrowed the camera guy's shoes.
They weren't all that great, though, let's admit.
They were better than his boots.
Huh?
Better than his boots.
Better than his boots, or the shoes that I had on before that you had to carry afterwards.
Yeah. You got stuck with the raw end of the deal, Kevin. You had to carry the shoes.
I carried the shoes. I felt like I was obligated in losing the bet to carry his shoes back. And he was not there because he was soaking wet from the sweat, and he had to go change his clothes.
Someday Truex is going to pay up as well. So, Al Pierce.
Yeah, Denny, Al Pierce from what's left of Auto Week.
Never gets old.
No, really.
I told him to stick with it.
How does a team go from 0 wins and 11th in points to 5 wins and conceivably a championship in 1 year? Were there any major personnel changes, or what's the difference?
Yeah, there was a lot from top to bottom. Pit crew, our pit crew kind of went over to Eric Jones this year. We had a whole new group of guys, and it wasn't all great. We were probably 25th, I think, ranked about 25th for the first handful of races or even 10 races, and then they steadily just got a little bit better as the season went on. Just there's a lot of elements. I mean, you change crew chief, you change crews, you change mechanics. I mean, we really, Chris met with me and all the team guys earlier in the year in January or so and said that, this is the team. This is who we put together, and I just want you to know this is a really great team from top to bottom. I mean, Eric Phillips being our car chief, I mean, this guy, he's won races. So it's, I definitely think that he's put together a great team, and really how you go from 0 to 6 is just fast cars. I mean, that and hard work. I mean, I definitely have put in extra work this year. A lot of it is anytime you do struggle, you got to try to find yourself somewhere, and so just found ourselves in a good spot now.
Back corner over there.
Kevin, Steve Schweitzer, the Lasco Press. Kevin, as the only Ford driver in the championship field and the only non-Joe Gibbs driver in the field, would it be that much sweeter to pull out the victory on Sunday?
Well, we want to win, obviously. I think that's why, Ford decided to make us a part of their company and their stable of cars. And it would be great to deliver that. And it's like what Denny said earlier. You want to win in these situations when it's what somebody feels is the best crop of guys that can be here, not somebody who snuck in or somebody who had a mediocre season. You want to race against the guys that are the best. And for us, obviously, knowing that we're up against an organization, gives us a lot of pride in the things that we've done. And I think, for me, I'm just really proud of my team and the things that we've been able to accomplish this year. We started off way often in right field and had to work hard to get things back going and got to victory lane, and here we are racing for a championship. And I think that's a huge credit to the experience of the race team. And I think for us, it sounds like we have a lot less things to talk about internally because we've had a whole organization that's really been pushing for one car over the last few weeks to come here. So it's a different scenario. Obviously, last year we were kind of in this, we didn't get our cars to the championship 4, but having all 4 cars in the final 8 becomes difficult because you got to try to put that same effort into all 4 of those cars, and it becomes difficult in the organization to do that to the maximum level if you don't have everybody pushing all the buttons. So having everybody pushing all the buttons hopefully pays off for us this weekend on our car.
One more question, this side of the room.
Chris Fisher, NBC Miami. All 4 of you gentlemen have had great success at Homestead Miami Speedway. With that being said, this being the conclusion of the championship races for the foreseeable future, what are kind of your feelings on that matter?
Well, I would say that as drivers, I think it's unanimous. We love the racetrack. I think the racetrack is phenomenal because I believe as a driver you can really make a difference here. Even if your car is lacking a little bit, you can move around and change the characteristics of your car, the handling of your car through different lines and whatnot. But I also think that ISM or Phoenix has really earned the right to host the championship race. Obviously the weather thing works out. I mean, there's only a handful of tracks that kind of the weather will cooperate this time of year. And they've also invested a ton of money into that place. And I think that anywhere that you have a championship race or a championship weekend, it should be in a big market, which Phoenix is. When you look at all the big events that they host, Barrett-Jackson, Waste Management, Phoenix Open, it goes down the line. It's a big sports town, and I think that it's a good venue. The weather's going to be good, and the track and facility is up to date, and those are the keys that you got to have.
Yeah, and in all honesty, it shouldn't be in Phoenix the year after. I think that having that championship race is important to new markets and new fans, and exposing people to our sport is important. And I think when you look at going to Phoenix and the things that it will bring to that facility, the new fans it will bring to that facility, they're thriving on that exposure now. even before the championship race is there, and they will thrive on that notoriety and the things that happen for that championship race next year. So to me, what happens in the race is irrelevant. It's great that we're going to crown a champion. We all love Homestead, but the event and the market and the notoriety and the new things that come to a new market that help carry that racetrack for a number of years to come are important. And we have to use our championship event to rebuild enthusiasm in markets, and I think that'll be the first step to doing that.
Well, that will end today's Championship 4 press conference. Thank you guys for being here. We hope you enjoy Ford Championship weekend at Homestead Miami Speedway, which culminates in one of these drivers being crowned the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion. You can watch it live on NBC Sports, hear it live on MRN and SiriusXM NASCAR Radio. Each of these guys will be available for breakout sessions throughout the afternoon. It will be in this room. Their breakout times are noted around the room. Thank you, guys.